supposed to see a cat. No. Nice to see a cat. No. Okay. I'm supposed to close it so we don't get feedback. And we're good. We are live.
Exciting.
Ta-da. Okay. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Tree Board. My name is Greg Edwards. I'm the chair. I'll just go around. We all know each other. Karen Hootery, Public Works Director for the City of Bangor.
Annette Dot, on the board.
Benjamin Arruda, I'm the City of Bangor's forestry manager.
Dominic Rizzo on the board.
David Ludwig, board member.
Cool. So first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from our last meeting.
I think there was it said at the top of the minutes 4 p.m. and then it said the meeting was called to order at 5:30 p.m.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
That was my only comment.
I think it was at 5:30.
I think it was 5:30 as well.
It was.
And then I found a couple of petty things.
And I'll
At 2A on that, there's a K missing from my
yeah.
name.
Okay.
Otherwise, other places where it shows up is fine. And on 14B, it says causing potential storm. I think it needs more than that at the end of that 14B. If I'm correct with the,
I think it was causing potential damage. I don't know.
right. So I mean, I'm just, that's, yeah.
Damage. I'll go back to the video to do it. But if you guys want to approve the minutes with those three changes, I will make them before they get posted to the website. I would accept a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
A second,
Second.
all in favor? Arbor Day celebration. So we usually do those at a school. Yeah, I just wanted to give an overview of what our plan was. So anybody who watched the council meeting last night, the city council did make a proclamation regarding Arbor Day being on Friday and pointed out that we'll be celebrating that with Vine Street School. So we'll be holding a little bit of an educational session with about 30 students plus staff, all third grade. And then that will come together with a group student planting of what tree?
Norway spruce.
Norway spruce at the corner of the playground. That was a tree and location of their choosing. So, yeah, kind of psyched about that. We will present the framed proclamation to Principal Sweat, who kind of set this all up with us. And then we also have some activity and coloring books along with a packet of colored pencils for each student. So talks a little bit about the parts of a tree, some little bit of information about trees, counting rings, that type of thing. And then it's just got some nice places to color leaves, trees. And then I think I ended it up with a couple short poems on trees. So that I thought were appropriate for third graders.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that on Friday. That will be at 9:15. Obviously, all tree board members are invited. If anybody has the time to attend. We did get a confirmation from Council Chair Pelletier that she will be on site. And she will, I'm going to introduce her and give her a moment to speak to the students as well. Cool. So, yeah, we're good psyched about it. Sounds good.
Excellent.
Number 3 is spring tree planting. And that's the regular spring tree planting the
Yes.
city does.
Yep. Regular replanting. We're doing, depending on availability on the final order to the nursery, 55 to 60 trees. And those are going to be either replacing trees that we have taken down in the past. Also, tree planting requests through the city's work order system, and then also a couple of vacant tree locations that have never had trees, so.
That's great.
And within those 50 to 60, we're doing 20 different species, so mixing it up with less of a monoculture and more diversity.
Yes, I got the list from last time. It's
I was
very,
gonna say, yeah.
pretty diverse, which is nice. Any thoughts, suggestions?
When will planting start?
Looking to start, weather permitting, probably the second week of May. Once the soil's finally warmed up a bit. And after curbside, brush debris cleanup has happened.
And all the new trees will be staked, but
Yes.
will the ones downtown have like watering?
Yes, yep,
Things.
that is the plan. Downtown, we have a couple, they'll get watering bags, stakes, and then additionally, I'm in charge of the downtown landscaper. I'll add the list to her weekly group, something where she can, every couple of days, water the watering bag in addition to her beds that she typically takes care of down there.
One thing that came up when, we were looking at the Bangor Beautiful, like tree planting site, was talking using like little plastic rings.
Yep.
To protect from string trimmer damage or mulching, around the trees to protect them for the first few years. It would be nice if we could do something like that. I looked at pricing and I think I saw where you could get them for like $2-ish.
Yeah,
You had said 6, which for 50 trees is a fair
Yep.
amount of money. But if we get them for, a couple $100, the string trimmer damage might make a big difference.
Mhm.
But I would also defer to the people who
Yeah.
have control of the budget.
I would say, the plastic protectors are good. As I mentioned during that meeting, you just have to watch your moisture. And it's kind of acts as like a greenhouse effect on the bark, causes some expansion, some frost damage later on in the year. And also sometimes a breeding ground for pests. So I think initially we could definitely do it as a trial if the initial investment is less than, $10 per tree to do that. I think the mulch is a good idea as well, but that also just adds another logistical layer on top of planting the trees and having that in a separate truck than the additional topsoil to prevent mixing. Right, stuff like that. It's all doable, and once we do a trial with everything, then we can move forward.
Are you talking about the rings that are like a couple inches high that you clash together, like the tubes that are a couple of feet high?
We would be doing, I think, just the plastic rings that you wrap around. Yeah, it's thicker than a saran wrap.
Yeah.
So it's,
Kind of like a spiral that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
sometimes it's corrugated, like a corrugated pipe, and you wrap it concentrically around
I've also seen them where they have like slats so that it wouldn't trap moisture,
Mhm.
but it would have some sort of physical barrier,
yeah.
so that a string trimmer wouldn't hit it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that would be targeted to areas where there's string trimming going on.
right.
Like if you're putting one in a flower bed, that's not gonna be, you're not gonna be string trimming in there.
Right, and even like residential neighborhoods probably aren't gonna get string trimmed as much as say like if we're putting them in Parks and Rec will string trim
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
aggressively.
Yeah,
So we could just limit it to parks for now, which are probably fewer if any of these trees.
Yeah, yep. I think the highest number for this spring would be over by the backside of the parking garage. We have 10 trees going in there, in between the bollards,
Yep,
yeah, that's
in between
perfect.
there. So
Yeah.
that would be a good spot to do some trial there.
okay,
Yeah, like that idea.
that way it's, yeah, and you can see what the effect is without having to do them everywhere.
Yep.
Okay. Bangor Beautiful Spring Tree Planting Donation. So Ben and I got together to select the spots. mark them for dig safe. I haven't been by to see if dig safe's been by yet.
Yes, I have received a call 10 minutes before I showed up. The only one that has an issue is at the very end of Ohio Street near the crosswalk.
Yep.
That is one of the main fiber lines for downtown.
Okay.
That drops down that pole. I've submitted a new ticket and then they're going to resurvey that location. The fiber company is, they have to get a flagger to stop traffic to do that intersection, so.
That's the
I've
one right
submitted
next
that.
to the electrical box too, or the other side?
The other side by
Okay.
the old Ledbetter's store.
Okay.
I think there was someone, I was just there before I came to the meeting and I saw someone out there.
Yep, he called me while he was on site, just saying that it was a potential issue, so.
Okay. Other than that, we're scheduled for May 10th. I think I said 9 AM just because I wasn't sure we're doing nearly 3 times as many trees. I'll make sure we have more tools available so that if we run into anything hard, we can get through it. Plus we're a little more practiced, but it's also broken up with wider streets, so
Yes.
we probably want to stay clumped together so we don't have volunteers running out into
Mhm.
Hammond Street.
Yeah.
And then the only other big piece, and this is for you, is the asphalt removal. That's been up in the air since the beginning.
So, I did put in a work order, for, I think it comes out to about 4 feet. I think that's what we discussed. I measured it out. It was 9 feet to the curb line, back to the concrete wall. So 4 feet closest to the curb to be taken out to reestablish an Esplanade. So, do not have a date for that yet. We were talking about it today. It's a significant amount of pavement there. So anything that we do with volunteers would probably be more of a symbolic project than actually getting in there and tearing it up because it's gonna come up a lot easier with machinery. So once we get it scheduled, I'm thinking, we go in and remove some of it so that we've got a place to start instead of starting from scratch. Cause it'll be easier to pull some up. We have volunteers do some work and then we finish up with the machinery again.
Okay.
And hopefully all before May 10th.
I mean, maybe just try to remove it all with machinery and the volunteers plant the trees, or are you thinking?
He wanted to, Greg was
We just wanted-
proposing a symbolic.
We'd be fine just videoing it.
Yeah.
Just seeing it happen would be really
Okay,
great.
so that would be a lot easier. Let you guys know when we're gonna be in there.
Yeah.
You can be videoing it, walk
Cheering on. as
new
they
Esplanade.
fall.
Yes.
My kids will come out for sure. It seems like.
We'll just keep them 25 feet
Right.
away
Yeah.
from the heavy machinery.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah, I say
Good.
dig it all up, because I mean, I'm assuming underneath is gonna have to have a little bit of prep work anyway to do the planting, so we could do all that.
Yeah, I think we'll probably remove the asphalt and maybe a little bit of gravel so that there's room for the loam to go in afterwards, but I don't know that we will get it asphalt removed and loam put in before the tree planting, so it might be just a tree pit and then we'll come in afterwards and fill. So,
Great,
cool.
very
and
exciting.
either way, it's an expansion of grassy area and
Yeah.
a decrease in pavement, so it's a win.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is that because that's such a busy intersection, can we make sure everybody has vests?
Yeah, we've
Okay.
ordered 20 vests. And I talked to Ben about bringing some cones in, just to like put them out at the shoulders to
Yeah.
do a little traffic diet for the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no,
Yep, and
absolutely.
I'll bring signs, just like a work site.
Yeah.
4 signs, one on each end of the work zone, so.
Good.
It's a little difficult to cross. I would, being there earlier, I'm not quite sure the signal was even working. It never turned, well, for the time I was there, it never turned to walk. That was High Street coming into, so I crossed anyway.
Is it a button or is it an?
It's a
automatic?
button.
It
It's
is.
the arrow
Okay.
button.
I've had them work for me, but they are a little,
Sometimes I
It's
tend to
hard
use
to-
my elbow. I'm not, I kind of do that.
yeah,
Not real hard,
Yeah.
but I know.
Yeah. But we can check it. I don't remember
Anyway,
seeing a
the
work
concern.
order on it, but, you know.
It's not the best designed intersection. I think we can all agree on that.
But.
We're not traffic engineers.
Yeah.
We're just,
yeah.
we're just fixing the part we can fix.
But I think having people working together in groups is a good idea. So you don't have all these different
Yeah,
places.
and I depend, I mean, you know, I hope we'll have, say, a dozen volunteers. So it'll make it go really fast in those areas where we've got everybody.
Agreed.
Okay, also I want to mention we've been doing the Buy Bangor a Tree program to fund this. Where we have like 5 left out of 17, so we're doing pretty well.
Yes.
And, yeah, if people go to bangorbeautiful.org and go to the trees and bees section, they can learn how to adopt. For anybody who might be watching on the internet, wants to adopt a tree these will be 250. We're planting some shrubs on the other side of town, in a private esplanade that are $100. We went with fancier trees this year, so the service berries are like single stem,
Gotcha.
and it should be good sized trees. Okay, seedlings and compost event.
Yeah, I just wanted to fill you guys in. Compost is only secondarily third this year. I don't know, with very little relation to trees, but at the same time, we're tying in our compost with a seedling giveaway, so I wanted to bring it up. So we are planning on giving away compost to residents along with some seedlings. We did our compost, our 3-year-old compost. We tested it at University of Maine to make sure it was fully converted over to compost and for content. And then Bangor High School's science students did some testing, bioassay testing, to ensure there was no residual pesticides. All the plants, I think they did 2 or 3 different cycles of growth, and none of the plants showed signs of pesticide damage. So we're gonna give that away. At the same time, there's a Arbor Day event with the state in late May. And they are donating 300 trees to the city, and they're just small, 150 plugs and 150 bare root. Some will go into our nursery. The majority of them will be given away to residents. At the same time, they come in to pick up compost. I mean, they don't have to, but doing them both at the same time. So kind of exciting to be giving away good things to our residents, the way I look at it.
Can they be used for anything, or are they just for esplanade, or?
No, they're for private use. Yeah, the ones in the nursery the plan is to grow them up so that we can place them around the city. But that's way too many for our nursery and all the same age, you know, we kind of want to start tiering them so that we have a steady supply when we need them through the years. So, yeah, they're being donated, and I think I actually talked about it a little bit later, but being donated to the state, and then the state's donating them to us, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
When you know the date, we could help get the word out too about that.
Will do, yep, yeah, I believe May 24th is the event down there, and that's where we get awarded our Tree City certification for the 2023 year. And at that same time, they hand out the seedlings. So I'm looking at that weekend, I think, is Memorial Day. So the following Friday, Saturday, I was gonna have crews come in on Saturday to do the giveaway as well, because we'll be loading. If people want larger volumes, we would have something there to load up in the back of the pickup truck, but yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I think the 30th and then May 1st, June 1st, May 30th and June 1st. And
then the ones that will go in the nursery will be planted soon, obviously, because they can't sit around.
yeah, we would be planting them. I mean, I'm sure they would be planted before our event on the 30th. Yeah, if I'm picking those up on the 24th, the bare roots, they'll dry out real quick, so we'll put those in medium, because I won't get back into town till the afternoon. Get those in something for the weekend, and then we do have some, what do we have out there, planted cedars?
We have, white spruce trees
White spruce.
and then, 18 American chestnuts.
Yeah, Yeah, I've got a little bit about the chestnut, another donation.
Are they the resistant American chestnut or?
They are, yep.
I love Justin.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's all I had for this evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tree inventory plan and internship.
You wanna talk? Want me to talk?
Sure, I can grab this. We will be bringing on 4 interns for the summer session. We have 2 graduate students from UMaine right in Orono, and then 2 undergraduate students from UMaine right in Orono, all forestry majors. And the biggest project out of many I have for them is to help complete the citywide tree inventory. So that would be park trees and then esplanade trees within the formal areas that the city manages, so.
That's great.
So we met with them last week, or the week before, met with them recently, confirmed their start dates. They all start in May. Staggered, but they all start in May. We have the tablets set up for the tree inventory survey now, so really looking forward to getting them in here. We did have a talk with Jeff Tarling, who was the city forester for Portland for 30 years, I think. And he was talking about how quickly the inventory moves along once you actually kind of get into it and get going. So they were able to get a lot more accomplished than they initially had intended to. So I'm taking that as a good sign that our inventory will be completed this summer. Complete. I'm gonna start with things that did not get inventoried in 2018. And then move to the 2018 inventory to update that as soon as we get the other part one, so. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's great.
Is it
Yeah.
gonna be tied directly into the new asset management, or is it going into, I assume that's all through our GIS anyway?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, so they'll all be entered into ArcGIS, but all those will be an asset that you can reach through that, City Works.
And then we could put it on a map, so, you know, we can play with it.
Yep.
City, everyone around the city can see it. That's a fun thing about Portland's, is that you can go and look through their city trees.
Orono has that now too.
Through iTree, was it?
Yeah, I did it through iTree and then I think Megan made a story map out of it. So it's on the
Yeah.
tree board
Yeah.
website now.
Yep, and that is the eventual end goal is a story map, and you know, you can click on the tree near your house.
For the public facing portion, but for us, like honestly, it's just about being able to plan your work, you know what I mean, and see how we're doing, measure ourselves against our goals and. Yeah, but the public, that's a huge piece of it, having that public facing.
Are you guys using iTree as well?
We are not,
Okay.
no, we're using ArcGIS field maps.
Okay,
That was it.
all right.
And the interns are really excited too. It was nice meeting with them last week, because it's like, we talked with them, we did the interviews and okay, we know things changed and are they all gonna show up? And yeah, they were all there, they're ready to go, they're excited about it, so they're not out cruising timber in the woods and they don't get home but once every other week or something, so.
Right, and if you can figure out a way where they're all like tag teaming a neighborhood, so they're not, you know,
Yeah.
alone for 6 hours on the
Oh,
west side of
Well,
Bangor.
they're paired up anyways.
Right.
Just because one person ran the tablet, one doing the.
Oh, okay, even better.
Yeah, so we got that, but we also have them, so that I think the plan is to have one doing streets in one direction, one doing in the other direction, so they're in the same neighborhood.
Yeah. Or racing each other down the side.
Have you done internships like that before, or just?
Not in my time here,
I
no,
think it's a really great idea,
yeah.
and it's good for everyone involved, so.
Yeah, and I can see a relationship forming with University of Maine, professors that. What is Bill Livingston's role? Is he head of the forestry program or?
He's the SFR director, I think,
Okay, SFR.
School of Forest Resources.
Okay, so program director, really seems to be on board with this, seems to be helpful, and, yeah, I see a nice relationship forming that is gonna benefit the city of Bangor.
Did you let the police know that this is gonna be happening because I had the police called on me when I was doing it in Orono and they didn't know I was gonna be doing it, so if somebody gives them a heads up that this is
That's-
actually gonna be happening, it could help potentially de-escalate the situation.
They will all, since it's gonna be in a work zone, I know, obviously, you probably had the same thing. They'll all be wearing high visibility vests.
Yep,
Driving a city vehicle
okay.
to and from job
Yep.
sites.
Still, once you get into a neighborhood, you're nowhere near the vehicle, that's a good idea, just to let
Yeah.
PD know, dispatch know.
Yeah, cause like I had the vest, it was public right of way during normal business hours, she still didn't believe what
Oh,
I
yeah.
said that I was, so
Oh, yeah.
just, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah. Maybe
everybody's
the-
so afraid that someone's trying to scam or pull
Yeah,
something or.
maybe the odds of that happening are low, but just giving people a heads up in advance.
And we intend to, put some stuff out on social media. too,
Yeah,
that we
that's
have
That makes
so,
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, good advice.
Okay. Brown tail moth. Wait, sorry, resident tree removal requests.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and give us a summary of where we are up to this point?
Sure. So I have previously received a request for a tree inspection. This is at 71 Walter Street. The resident has stated that the tree is causing leaves and branch debris to fall in her yard. And then as a result of that, the street is draining poorly. And it's causing flooding. I'm not sure the extent of the flooding, whether it's going into her basement or what have you, but the tree is located directly above a storm drain. However, it is also the absolute lowest part of Walter Street. And if you're familiar with Walter Street, it's essentially a bowl. And it is in a valley on every single side of, and it just drains right into the two catch basins right in front of this residence home.
Did you bring the topo maps?
Yes.
Seems like it would be a matter of keeping the storm drain clear then, right?
So you did you did a assessment of the tree
Yes.
and you found what on the assessment?
The tree is extremely healthy. It has a large amount of interior branches. It has no overextended branches. And for the tree assessments, if anybody is not familiar, I use a standardized ISA form to keep everything the same as far as the inspection goes. And basically it has you assess everything from the crown, the branches, the trunk, the roots and the root collar. So you're covering all your bases of the tree. This tree, the only thing I could find wrong with it, it does have surface roots extending out onto the esplanade because it's an esplanade tree. We don't know what the substructure of the soil is underneath. It doesn't have a ton of room for the root system. So that was one issue. The other issue was it is a codominant top. So essentially there's 2 leaders, if you take a look at the picture, that are competing for the growing space. Typically that is a weak structure prone to fail. This tree, there is no seam extending down below that codominant top. And what a seam is essentially a crack in the wood where the tree is breathing in the wind. And then you get a crack in the living tissue and that peels over and traps moisture, but I did not see that evident in this tree.
The last picture I put on was from Google Streets from last June, just to show the foliage. And the health, the general health of the tree. Sometimes it's hard to tell when the trees, you know, winter.
Healthiest little leaf linden I've ever actually seen, because I'm used to seeing the ones downtown that all look like they're gonna last 5 more years.
Yeah,
I drove past it earlier in anticipation of this meeting. It didn't look any worse than any of the other ones on the
Yep.
street.
It has a
So-
little bit of lean, but
Yeah, towards the street, I see that. What I hear is that the concern really isn't as much about the tree as it is about the water flow. And so I think we have a stormwater issue. Ben pulled this, for those of you who read topo maps, that circular area right in the center of the page is the lowest spot in that neighborhood, and that is exactly where this is. So all the water in that neighborhood is flowing to that lowest point, which is
Probably why
why
it's
there are
so
two
healthy.
storm drains. So I really think this is a stormwater issue. Clearly, the tree is not a cause for concern, and I don't think I'm not hearing anything that it's an infrastructure issue, really.
no, I
If this
don't.
tree were removed, all these other trees are still gonna contribute leaves
Mhm.
to that street, so,
And you're
Could
gonna have
also-
more stormwater.
Yeah, you could make the argument that the canopy intercepts some of the stormwater, so
yeah.
might make it worse.
So,
And there is some maintenance we can do on the tree. We can do some interior thinning, but nothing super in-depth as far as taking out the crown. But there is some branches we could trim out of the inside of the crown. Not a whole lot of deadwood. I don't think I even found one dead branch in the tree.
Is there any issue with the resident being infirm or anything that they can't clear the leaves out of the storm drain before a rain event?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
that's a tough conversation to have with a resident. It's a city responsibility, and, heavy rainstorms, we try to hit the spots that we know are an issue. This isn't on my radar, so I don't know if it's my own obliviousness or if this hasn't been communicated well. But we have spots around the city we know are going to flood, especially in the fall, spring. And, this can be added to that list to try to address that stormwater flow problem. I can also speak to Rich May and find out if this is an area of concern for him, whether these storm drains are properly sized to be able to handle the flow volume, the flow of stormwater down through. Does the board want to vote on a recommendation to vary from the city ordinance regarding this tree?
can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah. So this is an advisory board and the board, neither myself nor the board has the power to not follow the city ordinance. And the city ordinance says trees don't get removed unless they're meet specific conditions. This does not appear to meet those conditions, but the board can recommend a tree be removed if they felt there was sufficient reason to not follow the ordinance. And then I would take it to the next step at the council and ask for a variance.
So we could take a vote on whether we want to, what was the word you used? Not intervene, but, or,
To recommend
to vary from the,
yes, recommend a variance, yeah.
yeah,
So
Recommend that we vary from.
if
this.
we don't recommend a variance, we're keeping the tree essentially.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah. All right, so I would accept a motion to vary from the city ordinance.
I thought we were staying with the.
Well, if we just take a vote on it, we can
Yeah.
say we did one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If you
Yeah.
don't, if you choose not to vote for a variance, then I have the
All right, we could
message.
just also do a thumbs up to voting. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down to voting.
Okay. So no vote. You don't
Yeah.
want to recommend that we vary from this, from the ordinance.
Right,
Right.
gonna keep that healthy tree, but I do think that it would be great if you could tell the person who requested the removal that you're gonna put that on the map so that you'll take care of its drainage.
And I think that's the key at this point. My understanding was is she wanted to come speak to the group. I don't know if she, became unavailable or if this just wasn't a fit. She did not send you a written statement or anything.
No written statement,
No.
just.
So, what we will do is follow up with her and let her know that it was brought to the tree board. The board did not recommend for removal. But we are going to follow up with the, city engineering department, stormwater engineer, to see if anything needs to be changed there, and we'll add it to our watch list for clogged drains during storm events.
I love all those trees on that street.
Yeah, that's a really
Beautiful.
beautiful tree.
We get a lot of complaints in that neighborhood about littering and that type of thing, abandoned, I think it's a lot of rentals, but trees are beautiful. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you do have some
Some highlight there.
trash being dumped around the area, but those trees, you walk, drive down through there in the summer, it's just a beautiful area, so.
Yeah.
love it.
It's like a big place to walk.
Is there a way of also, and it's only a recommendation of what an average citizen can do in regard to a situation like that with the storm water that the person could have if they, the Go Bangor app, and even just as a reminder every so often?
Yeah.
To just,
So that's how that conversation generally goes. Resident always has the right to go out with a rake and just pull the leaves away before a storm.
and I have done that in my neighborhood.
Yeah. And some residents just don't have the physical ability to go out and do that all the time.
Mhm.
But even then, I ask them, they're there, they can see it where we're trying to be everywhere all at once. So if they see it's backed up, call our number, you know what I mean? Because we can send somebody out and they can be our eyes. So we always ask for that. It's not a requirement, they don't have to, but it generally is in their best interest. If they can prevent the flooding, then, you know what I mean, they might prevent damage, so. Yeah, that's how we'll proceed. Thank you.
Brown tail moth. It's hatching time, everybody celebrate.
Did this weather have any type of negative effect on?
Doubt it. It's been a pretty,
When we had the
feels like it's
snow
been
and,
dry.
No, but just recently it's been dry, it's been wet,
Yep.
so the Maine Forest Service did release something, they say it's too early to really say that there's been an outbreak of the fungus that kills them at this point, because really, southern Maine, they're already out, but up here, last week, we hadn't seen any yet, we're expecting it any day now. But we're meeting, so we will put out an update on brown tail moth once they do come from the nest, but we're also meeting, Ben is meeting with Parks and Rec Director Tracy Willett and the pesticide contractor to make the plan for injections this year. The initial conversation did revolve around slightly increasing the volume injected for a little more effectiveness. Last year, we felt we didn't really reach the effectiveness that it claimed that it would be using the abamectin benzoate, but we used less. We were trying to go on the low side just to see. So this year, we were talking about a little higher injection, but also adding some additional trees to be injected as well. So we'll have an update go out on the brown tail moth website about the emergence of the moths and their voracious appetite this time of year. How they'll just go nuts on anything that's starting to bud out, and then our plan for the parks. That's where we are right now.
Next year, I would love for us to have a plan on treating arterials, creating safe walking paths through the city. Cause like I usually bike to work and I'm going down State Street and every single tree is infected. There's, 6 really tall oak trees that are heavily infested and everything else is a short ornamental. And if we had some of those safe paths through the city, it's gonna slow the spread throughout the neighborhoods, but also it's gonna give people safer way to get to and from what we're trying to get. And that way we'd have a sort of targeted plan that we could try to follow through the next spring. And then also continuing to hit parks.
Once we have what we feel is an effective injection flame that really does work on the tree, now we're looking with that. So abamectin benzoate, it is okay. So once we have what we think's really effective and that has a longer lasting effect, so we could do every 3rd year maybe, then we can start looking at going around, you know what I mean? And
Right.
have a cycle of treatments until this population collapses. That's kind of our plan. We just wanted to figure out what's gonna work first before we start spending a bunch of money and then have it not really be effective.
Yeah, Also, there's like 4 contractors in the state who do drone removal, and one of them is out in the Clifton area. So I have no idea what those prices are, but that is something we could look at if the pesticides are too expensive.
I think pesticide is likely to be more affordable.
Yes.
Yeah, from drone removal.
Yeah. But again, there might be places, you kind of got to look at all your tools, and there might be places where drone is appropriate, so.
A couple of things. It would be helpful if, say, if there was like an approved list of 3 people who would come out to a tree in front of your house in Esplanade. Like if the city couldn't do it, but if those of us who wanted, like we have a tree across the street from us on Congress Street that had some nest in or still have it. Luckily, actually, I think the power company had their tree people come down Congress Street and they trimmed the wires and they took a lot of the nests away. So, or they chopped them up. But anyway, if there was a way of just having an option for some, for those of us who want to do that.
There is, through the main Forest Service website on the Browntail page, there is a link down below to contractors, and it's contractors willing to treat browntail moth, and then it brings you to a really nicely done spreadsheet, and it tells you all the areas that they are willing to service, so then you can filter through that.
I've linked to that in our browntail moth webpage as well, but maybe it makes sense for us to kind of narrow that down to the Bangor area. Yeah.
Do we need approval then from the city if we, yes,
For a street tree, yeah.
Yeah,
For your
I
own
would think
property,
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your own
Do
property.
we have to let you know ahead of time that we're looking to do it if that's,
It'd just be nice to know. We want to
Mhm.
keep track of treatments in the
I
city.
mean, I have no plans at this point, but I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, technically it's a city tree and there's a lot of things like residents want to get out and prune their own trees. We ask them not to because we really want trained, individuals doing that. But we know we don't have the money to treat trees and they can't treat them themselves, so they're gonna bring in a professional. That would be something that you really just let us know about. So that we can track what kind of pesticides are being applied to public trees. And we would coordinate with the contractors to get a record of what, and that's all we're doing is getting a record of what is being injected into public trees so that we have some sort of, when we go back, we counted, how many nests were in the injected trees last year, just trying to gather data points.
And that would eventually even go on the chart that you were talking about where people would click on the history of the tree in front of your house. So.
That's the idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, Emerald Ash Borer.
Yeah, just real quick, I wasn't completely clear on what these students were doing. So we have 2 master's students who are working on their theses that one is taking kind of existing data and pulling it all together to form a thesis about possible scenarios for emerald ash borer response. And that's taking our data that's available, but also taking what other cities have done and what's been effective in those and giving us some options. His program ends before the next students. So that next student is going to take the information that he's gathered, but then add in the results of our inventory, and then take some of our other specific factors like staffing and budget, that type of thing, and then present a plan for the city of Bangor to respond to this. Within our means. So we have 2 students crunching a lot of data, putting together a lot of information to present to the city, options for responding to emerald ash borer, and it would cost us a lot of money to pay somebody to do this. So I just feel fortunate that we've again connected with the University of Maine and we will have this at our disposal.
Is that in addition to the students you have working on the inventory?
So 2 of those are doing the inventory.
Okay.
And then the other 2 are undergraduates who really don't know exactly where they're headed at this point, but this is just a broadening of their forestry experience. So, yeah, these 2, And these two both coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, have an interest in, kind of like public service. One, is interested in municipal planning, specifically forestry, urban forestry, that type of thing. And then the other one is interested in parks and recreation. So, opportunities to bring them in, but also to introduce them to people within our organization so that they can maybe see if the future looks like Bangor. You never know. So, yeah, just a quick update on that emerald ash borer. We have no more, confirmed sightings, but it's been winter time, so, Ben's plan is to place some traps for this summer to be able to monitor them in Bangor.
Cause they're in Newport to the south.
New Herman.
Okay,
That's
so they're,
close.
Yeah, they're in Herman now.
okay,
Yeah, they're right here and they're in Bangor, which is a matter of finding them. So, yeah.
I was in Portland, not this past weekend, the previous one, and walking down Congress Street in the Eastern Prom neighborhood, east side. These orange notes on the, where a tree was, just explaining why, why were these trees removed, and then give the explanation and information we go to and get it, so they've already been cutting down their trees down there.
right.
Yeah, they
And
started
they're
that.
proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Injections for the trees they want to save and proactive removal for the ones they can't save.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big project they're tackling.
Because if you don't proactively remove them, you'll just get, probably hundreds all at once that need to come down.
right.
And part of that inventory is getting a classification for health, 0 through 5, 0 dead, 5 extremely healthy. And then the hope is that we can use that to be proactive with tree diseases. And, it goes for every species. So if sometime in the future we have another disease that requires, being proactive, we can then filter through the data that we already have and, be proactive without having to go out and resurvey again.
Inventory is important.
Yeah.
And if you find an area that's completely dominated by ash, you can plan to do some proactive
Right.
replanting there as
Yeah,
well.
which we have a lot of neighborhoods that are like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, urban forestry management plan.
I'll give you guys an update. Chip McInnes is our new grant writer for the city of Bangor. He is on this. I approached him very soon after he started here and he's already deep into it. And at this point, we need some letters of support. So I intend to approach Bangor Beautiful for a letter of support.
Yep.
And I was also going to ask the chair of the tree board to see if the tree board would sign a joint letter of support for an urban forestry management plan. Yeah, he spoke with Jan. He watched the training videos, which are a requirement for the grant application. And we're just putting together some wording. We finally got the costs on the urban forestry management plan for New York, near Glenville. I searched a bunch of other cities and a lot of cities have formed public and government employee committees and developed the plan on their own. So there's no cost really there. It appears from what I've seen, doing it that way takes a lot longer than hiring a company, as you can imagine. So I feel like we're actually in pretty good shape. The application deadline is 3 weeks out now at this point, but he's optimistic that we're gonna have everything pulled together and have an application in. So I'm really feeling good about this. I did put money in our budget for a urban forestry management plan. That public session on the public works budget in general is May 1st, I believe. So couple different avenues there. And if I only get part of it, it may delay us, you know what I mean? But once I have capital money, once Public Works has capital money, that is available to me for 3 years. So if I only get a portion of it approved, I could continue to work on that. Not that that's the direction, we don't want to delay this, but and maybe it'll end up being a portion of grant money, budget money,
Right.
all together, working together, so.
Yeah. It'd be sooner rather than later and we have multiple like pressing matters, like, try to tell city councilors that in a year we could be losing like a quarter of our street trees, like because of emerald ash borer. So like, it's not something we can wait a couple of years on. We can, but we're gonna be in a really bad.
It's gonna cost us more, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a different sense of urgency if we continue to put things off, so, yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds promising.
Yes, I'm happy to see movement on that. I'm very happy to get Chip's help, so,
Yeah. And always ask for more in a grant.
yeah.
Gotta do that.
I watched the video. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Ask for more. Let them cut us back.
Tree City USA application.
Yeah, so we were approved. I just received it, I think, last week. So 2023, we are officially a Tree City USA. That puts us at 19 years, 2004 through 2023. The only year we missed was 2013, and I have no data on why we didn't apply or whether we did apply and didn't get approved or what it was, but 2013, we are not. So 19 years in at this point. Next year, we'll have a celebration at 20 years.
Nice. Sweet.
Bangor Beautiful is pushing for us to also be a B City USA, but we're doing that through planning, so you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, but I was pulled into it. I'm all in support of it. I think it's great.
Who does the certification for that?
The Xerxes Society
Okay.
are all about invertebrates, which all of our pollinators are invertebrates. It's more science than I know. Okay, other items.
I had one, I'm moving to Auburn in mid-June. So we were talking about whether there's a residency requirement, and I was saying if there's not a residency requirement, I don't mind continuing to fill the spot until you can find someone to replace me. But yes,
I believe there's a residency requirement for all volunteer.
I don't know. I thought we talked about it before and I was told there wasn't. But
Maybe the tree board's special because it's got its own section in the charter.
Or I'm gonna have to look into it.
okay, well, if there is one, then I guess I'll have to resign in June, and if not, I will resign whenever you can fill the spot.
Okay. Nice thing is with the, with Zoom, you really can.
Yeah, exactly.
If you know any other foresters living in Bangor.
All right.
I've got to assume we're losing Carly at the same time, or,
I think she's moving down to Orr's Island.
oh, wow. So she's not a candidate. Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, we'll work through it,
Okay.
but I'll let you know.
All right.
Thank you for that
Yeah,
offer.
thanks.
Any other items? Because I've got a couple, I wanna
We got
drag this
time?
out. Oh,
We got
I
6
just got a
minutes.
text message, there is no residency requirement for the tree board. Somebody listening. Two items I wanted to hit on, Bangor High School students, I mentioned there was a compost, study done by high school students. One of the students presented her compost study to the, main science, I can't remember, MSSM, I think it was, but the main science fair, she ended up coming in first place in her category for that study that she did, which benefits the city. And that compost is gonna be used to enrich our loam as well. So that will help with tree plantings, it'll help with, with roadside esplanade refill, that type of thing. The other student that I wanted to bring up is Paige Sornberger. She did a study on beech leaf disease, then helped her out, in the city forest. She wrote an app, for people to be able to find, number one, identify beech leaf disease, but find information on it. The next phase she hopes to go to is using what she's already built with the identification to create an app where people can report, kind of citizen science report signs of beech leaf disease, so that that'll help inform studies that are going on right now. So two great pieces of work, and these students will be presenting to the infrastructure committee on May 20th about their work. May 20th at 5:15. And I think, it's worth celebrating that kind of involvement from high
Yeah.
school students. I was, very impressed. We met with their, mentor, teacher, Barbara Stewart, in the science program. She's the head of the science program at Bangor High School, and showed us these storyboards that they use for their presentation at the science fair. And just very impressed by the students, by their work, and by their willingness to come sit at a committee and and present this information too. That can be a bit daunting, so I'm very excited to have that. And we'll continue that relationship with high school as well. That's our plan. Any questions on that?
Could any of them be on the board?
Well, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Or even the interns?
For them, it's more of getting someone to give them rides and stuff issue, you know what I mean? So, I know they were lining up rides to be able to come to to that infrastructure meeting. Yeah, how great would that be though, to get some student involvement on the board? Yeah. The second thing I want to talk about was tree donations. Just want to give you guys a heads up. We got a call, Friday afternoon, last Friday, from the American Chestnut Foundation for a donation of trees. Technically, to accept the donation, I'm supposed to go to the Government Ops Committee. We didn't have the time because they were going to donate them on Earth Day. And that's exactly what they did. We accepted those. So the American Chestnut Foundation donated the 17 trees. SAPI of North America donated protective tree tubes. We got some staff from Public Works, one volunteer from SAPI, one volunteer from the foundation, and we planted those 17 trees out in our new nursery
Great.
yesterday. You're right, you get a bunch of people together and it goes quick. It was very quick planting and had a great time doing it. So I will be going to government operations on May 6th to request a retroactive approval to accept the donation. At the same time, I will be asking for approval to accept the donation of 300 seedlings that should take place at the end of May. Those are technically from the Maine Forest Service, but Cedar Works Playgrounds donated 150 cedars, and Irving Woodlands donated 150 spruce. I got that right, yeah. Spruce to the Maine Forest Service for them to be able to donate them to us. So I will be asking for approval on that as well. So GovOps on May 6th, full council approval on May 13th. Just want to make sure you guys were aware of that.
Sounds good.
So I have.
I did have one thought on, I mentioned this to Ben, when we go to replace downtown trees, because especially when sidewalks get done, they kind of get pinned into these small tree wells. That would be the perfect time to, they're already getting dig safe done, just bump out the tree wells, just, a couple bricks.
Yeah.
Depending on where they are, if there's cement around them, obviously, that's a lot of work, but like the one at the near Cross Street is a perfect spot where it's already in a bump out. You could take out a bunch of that bump out or the bricks out of it, to allow more permeable surface. And yeah, the trees would have a better shot in the long run. I think that's the only one downtown
That's the only one.
which is great. We used to lose like 3 or 4 a year, but that's also because we used to get snow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I don't really, right off the top of my head, know all the factors that go into that, but why not explore it?
That corner also, it's got 2 like abandoned holes, like that go 2-3 feet up. It's really bizarre. Like, I don't know what they were from, old streetlights. Someday those ought to come out, but in the meantime, just bumping the bricks out.
Yeah,
And when the sidewalk gets redone, just making sure it doesn't get.
yeah,
penned
close
back
back
in
in,
again.
yeah. I hear you. I can see why we do it. You kind of want that nice clean edge, so you just go in a little more, a little more, a
Yeah,
little more.
and then suddenly the tree has no room to grow.
Yeah.
And the newer pavement especially, the pavers, we pave under them and then put the pavers down, so you don't even see, but the pavers end and then asphalt keeps going a little further, which is worse.
Great for the sidewalk, just not great for the tree.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I hear you. Yeah, yeah, absolutely can do that.
Okay,
Thank you. Can look into that.
thanks.
I have one more question. Do you know, I saw there was a tree on Grove Street, it looked like it got marked for removal, but it looks like the sign is missing. I was wondering, is
Yes.
it a public safety issue? or-
Nope, probably blew away, somebody took it.
Oh, no, I just meant like with was the tree being removed for public safety issue?
The one on Grove Street, is it a, like, 165 Grove Street, I think is the address.
Yeah,
That one is clearance for the electricity at the top. So what it has done, it has grown in a lovely fashion where it's grown in between the neutral and then the live wires
okay,
and then out over the street.
okay,
So if you get any
yeah,
storms,
okay,
it'll connect the
Gotcha.
neutral and I
okay,
believe it's 3-phase
okay,
electricity along Grove Street, but I could be wrong.
A lot more juice.
gotcha.
So.
All right, cool. That's all I wanted to
I
know.
have a quick question.
Yes.
I was in, New Hampshire driving back from a trip and I saw a tree that was in a public area that had these pieces of wood around it, with a zip tie. I think it's to protect it from a snowplow. I don't know if that's. something that we've
You
done
typically
before.
do that, for equipment. So if you have a planned excavation, they could be, placing mulch.
Oh,
I know when we did, at my previous employer, landscaping and house installing, all the trees along the driveways would be wrapped in those boards, and it's to prevent bark damage.
it looked like something you might want to consider for our downtown trees. I know I've seen more than a couple trees been
Yes.
taken out by a snowplow and thought maybe that, I didn't know if that was a solution or, but it looked really simple. It was just
Mhm.
boards and
Yeah.
two zip ties,
Yeah.
and then you take them off in the
Yeah,
summer.
yep.
But I didn't know, I wanted to ask.
It's something we'd have to do every year. The better long-term solution would be like the metal
Cages.
cages. Did see in Presque Isle, they like made their own with like a metal rolling machine and just rolled sheet metal, two of them together, and then bolted them, as opposed to buying the really fancy, like,
I'll check that out next time.
But if we, we're in a pinch, I was just thinking, it might be something I want to do with some of the trees that have been in front of my business that have chunks.
Yeah.
So,
And having the equipment clearing snow downtown, I think made it worse this year, even though we didn't get much snow. We're just not used to being downtown, so.
yeah,
something to consider.
if we could do the granite curbing down
Yeah.
the road, that would be
To protect.
a really big,
Push them away.
plus it would be better for the gardens, because animals are less likely to climb up over the curbing to
Yeah.
use it as a bathroom.
Good, thanks for sharing.
Any other thoughts? And in that case, I move to adjourn. Hours are running late.
Conflict enough for the high school students, like, let's do downtown businesses as a way of sending thanks to those high school students, be a bad thing, or,
Well, let me see if I can close this down.
sorry.